teams that, I was just speaking to Treasure before we came on air, and he was telling me how your team, the Mavs, this is their best start to the season in since 2004, 2005. I mean, walk me through what you think is the turning point and why they are playing so well. I mean, a lot of people, when the trade went down with Kyrie, they thought it won't work well, those guys and all that, it's not going to work well. So, walk me through it.
For the past couple of seasons, we've seen J.K. come in, the new coach, and he's tried a lot of different things. He tried to take Doncic off the ball. That was a failed experiment. He tried to do a number of different things, and what I've noticed particularly is that they've tried to find pieces to complement Doncic more. Instead of trying to really bring in someone else that he's going to give the ball to, the best place for the ball is in his hands. He's going to do his magic. So you bring in Kyrie, and everyone was like attacking Kyrie, and I get it. Kyrie is Kyrie. We've seen him destroy teams, aka the Destroyer. But he's still one of the best partners you can have. I mean, look at what he did with LeBron, a ball-dominant point forward. So you pair the same Kyrie with Luka Doncic, who is a point forward again, and you have with the option of Kyrie's ego winning coming down to size, you have an incredible partner, and then you bring in pieces like, Grant Williams. I think he is specifically has a really, really good, because you bring in that much more defensive-minded 3-and-D guy. Like, he's a perfect 3-and-D, and his chemistry with Luka has also been really, really incredible. And surprisingly, Derek Lively, I was very surprised the second game when we had J.K. try to reduce his minutes for whatever reason, because he's obviously better than Dwight Powell. And you see these different pieces. He's also have Josh Hardy doing what he can, Josh Green rather, and Hardy doing what he can off the bench, and just have all these pieces complementing Luka. And then of course Luka, he's incredible. But then the major issue Mav fans have is that he's not always fit. But then he sort of challenged himself. We had pictures and images of him working out during the summer, and then he's come back and he's trying to actually win this MVP that he said was won like 2 seasons ago. So I think all of that plus God's grace, honestly, has been what's propelled the Mavs to like our 5-1 stand. Hopefully tonight we make it 6-1.
Okay, so the Mavs fan is hoping for more history to be made. Another team that we've seen that's done really well to start the season is the Celtics, and they are the only undefeated team in the NBA currently. I mean, Jason Tatum was talking about how the last game they played wasn't a blowout. I mean, that was like extreme level confidence. You played 5 games in the NBA, and you are talking about how the last 2 games really give you a tough time, which means it's a really easy walk for them. So I want to talk with you. I know we spoke about this in last episode. We talked about how Celtics shored up their front line attacking. A lot of people were like, how would Drew Holiday come in? I told them that he's going to shore up that defensive line and allow Tatum and Brown really express themselves on the offense without worrying too much about the defensive end of the right. So you talk me through what you feel has gone right for them so far this season.
So first things first, I think the improvement has actually been flawless. My biggest worry at the point when we first did the show Celtics was whether you keep Kristaps because health has always seemed to be the major problem with him. And right now we are seeing Kristaps is healthy, right? And then you have a guy that can literally space the floor because he can shoot the three, he can walk in the post, and then that adds like another dynamism to get the right up. And then we are seeing this detail crimson with I'm sorry, the amount of guys I have seen, it's the kind of MVP number that I'm seeing just the first 2 weeks of like every regular season, and Jason Tatum is one of them. And we're seeing him do it week in, week out. Another thing we're going to also consider is also the addition of Jimmy. As I said, the recruitment has just been pinpoint and fantastic. And I think another thing has to also be with the coach himself, as well. So he has learned from his very first regular NBA season for him to have been under a breakout and have his first breakout season, and then learn from certain mistakes that were made in the playoffs and made in the regular season. And now we are seeing these adjustments actually being made. Adding Drew Holiday, as you have mentioned, gives Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum freedom to actually do what they need to do for offensive opportunities. And then adding another piece like Kristaps Porzingis, who can actually space the floor, the extra guy, can shoot the three, can basically walk in the post, and giving them an extra dynamism that they didn't have with Rob Williams when it was in Warford and Rob Williams. And someone that a lot of people tend to just overlook is Terry White. I want Terry White difference to that team is amazing. I think I saw a stat recently, like since he played for since he moved to the Celtics, he has literally not missed any game. He has only missed
Only missed 2 games. That's on that the other.
2 games, and because of the birth of his children. And then if you think about someone who has literally consistently actually come up from the bench and actually even do things when he didn't start, like Derrick White is that unsung hero, and I think he's also that extra hub in the road that basically just makes that team. So by the time we combine all these things, fantastic improvements, getting players in that will actually make the other guys elevate their game further, Jason Tatum will doing everything stuff this season. I think that is the major driving force behind their excellence. And I can't remember a team actually that I watched so far actually really troubled itself. And the last game was a massive they've been having all this. As a third quarter, they literally moved
All the starters,
put in their bench guys and nothing. Really.
Yeah, they've been having fun all season long. Like, but let's move on to their nemesis in the East, so to speak. A lot of people made all the comments, game goes to the box,
Freak time.
all of that, freak time, game time. After the first game, people went crazy, 39 points, 17 free throws, all of those things. And I expressed this bit of caution, saying game is not going to get 17 free throws every game. It's not just going to happen. There are some games that they will game plan for you, right? Okay, we know game is going to do this. We're not going to let you get to the free throw line. You are going to have to put us off it. And now Giannis has to do more in terms of defense. Before, with Drew there, Giannis only had to guard the third best player on the team, and then put up great defensive numbers. Now you have to guard pretty much the best player or the second best player on the team every given night, and that's going to be stressful for you. So I'll come to you, this Abiola. Is this like this? Are you giving, because basically right now it's championship or bust. If they don't win the championship, they're going to scrutinize Giannis. What do you think is the ceiling for the Bucks, and what do you think is the gelling period? Is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? You expect by the All-Star break there will be a fully cohesive unit?
Yeah. First things first, we have to understand, we have to remember the fact that they also have a new head coach. This is a new head coach coming in with his own principles, still trying to feel out the players, understand, okay, how best can I use the players? Giannis was recently talking in an interview where he demanded to go out and guard the best player, because often you have a previous coach who would want to just rest him a little bit, let him just play off, and so be that help defender. Because I feel like with the way Giannis plays, he's the best as a help defender, while you have the point defense with Lopez. And now, like you said, you're having to guard the best defender. Two ends, he wants to be the greatest two-way player ever, he said so, but then it's really hard and very stressful. And there's definitely going to be an adjustment period. I think also with Dame, I mentioned on the group that Hero Ball, they made an animation, and there was this funny clip where they were saying, but between Dame and Giannis, were like, you go first. So they're still really trying to figure out that chemistry, and that's going to take time. I give them to All-Star break, or maybe even before, by Christmas, they're going to be incredible potentially, because they have all the pieces. They have Giannis, they have Dame, they have Lopez, they have Bobby Portis off the bench, who has actually been incredible off the bench, just giving them points, and other players who haven't really been playing properly, but then like Malik Beasley, but with time they should gel. I give them benefit of the doubt.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on to another team, Suns. When the Suns made that trade, you and you were talking off here, and you were telling me, the Suns are going to do really well this season.
I said the Suns are going to.
No, you said they are going to do really well this season. And I expressed concerns. I said, besides KD, Bill, and Devin Booker, obviously we did not anticipate all 2 of the 3 stars to get injured at the same time, having recurring injuries. That's but when they are fully fit, they are yet to see what the offense is going to do. But when you go against teams that can effectively neutralize at least 1 or 2 of the stars, we've seen that it's going to be very hard for KD to do it by himself. Because I look at the game against the Lakers, KD was doing really well through the first 2-3 quarters. Then having switched Christian Wood to him, the next really proved a problem for KD. He couldn't get past the shots. I think in the last fourth quarter, he didn't score more than 5 or 6 points in the entirety of the game. That shows that they isolated KD. So when they do that, obviously you kick it out to Devin Booker to try and make something happen. If Devin Booker is not hot, try to switch it to Bradley Beal. So there's going to be a lot of adjustment because Bradley Beal hasn't played any game this season at all. When he comes in, he's going to have to reintegrate into the offense. That's going to be an adjustment period. Now, having seen, now they have a losing record, they are 3-4. Do you want to say, okay, maybe it will take a little bit longer for the Suns to gel, or you still have your first one saying they'll be alright?
So I do still believe that
Suns are actually going to go right. And I wanted to crack a joke earlier, like I saw something similar play around, like when KD was on the net. It seems like you not get core guys, he all together, and now it feels like KD has sparked that bunch.
All the way to
And then we're seeing it as well. Bradley Beal hasn't been able to play anything. Devin Booker hasn't been able to play anything. The one game I think that both Devin and Keith saw their things together.
They played 2 games in total. They won 1, lost 1.
So we've seen the first question that people were asking was, could Devin Booker actually play the point guard position? And it shows that he's capable enough to play the point guard position. Maybe not the best, but then again, capable enough to play the point guard position. And we see that when the two of them actually play, as you mentioned, when one is not hot, obviously the other guy is going to be hot. The worry for me though would be with regards to like the defense and in regards to the guys that they actually have that are coming from the bench. So you have my main worry. So it's my main worry, yeah, that time. And I think I'm beginning to actually see like some of the things like you're saying, because it feels like for the past how many games, it feels like because KD who's not in court at the moment, it just feels like they really can't get buckets and everything. Yes, Eric Gordon has been in and out. He has actually also tried this period that Booker and Beal haven't actually been there. But so it's more of a worry, like the guys that come up from the bench, what can these guys do? So it seems like their bench up till now is still not deep enough, so they are top heavy and everything, and so that's something to still worry about, as well as on the defensive side of things, especially when it comes to the perimeter defense, right? I don't know, yes, Booker is an okay defender, but then again, that's something as well that comes to my mind. But it feels like this team is actually set up to outscore any opponents that they actually meet. And then remember, we're having this argument of offense or defense, basically what wins game, right? And all these championships and stuff. But it feels like the team is set up to actually outscore people. And then more often than not, you barely have games that both Devin Booker and KD are off. So I'm sure that in the long run, they'll be fine. We are just beginning to see that yes, it's obvious now that KD cannot carry the team on his own. And I'm sure by the time like Devin Booker or Bradley Beal comes back, that they will be fine. Not saying they won't lose games, they will lose games, but I think they will still.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So we're talking about the Suns. I don't think I'm convinced about the Suns at all, because number one, they don't have a primary, they don't have a point guard to say. The primary bundler is Kevin Booker. Kevin Booker to me is not a point guard too, because he's going to majorly play on iso ball. He's not going to look to create shots for others. He's only going to look to pass the ball if he sees that they're going to double team him or he's not going to make the drive. So I'm still not convinced about the Suns. They don't have a primary ball handler. They don't have a secondary bundler. The secondary bundler is Eric Gordon, and to me, he's not convincing enough. And they don't have a defender. Their secondary center. Their centers are Nurkic and I think they have ball too, but I don't think they play ball. So how do you think Nurkic is going to fare against Jokic? How do you think Nurkic is going to fare? And the issue they had against Denver last time was they tried to outscore them, it didn't work. And last year those guys were on form, they were almost perfect. If you remember during last period, Devin Booker was so crazy. He was looking like he wasn't going to ever miss. KD was looking like he wasn't still enough, because you need to defend. There's no way around it. The same issue Lakers had against Denver, you need to stop those guys. You need to look for a way to actually stop them from getting buckets. No matter how much you think you can score, Denver is going to score back. So I don't think they are good enough to beat those guys. And defensively, we know. I don't think Gray Allen, or we could start with Grayson Allen. I don't think Grayson Allen is a good defender. I don't think. Okay, look at this scenario. Do you think Devin Booker can run around and chase Curry? Let's imagine the matchup against Golden State. Do you think Devin Booker and Bill can run around and chase Curry and Thompson all game? Do you think they can stop these guys from scoring? So, Suns has a lot of questions to answer. And okay, Buddy Bill too. I have no idea why they traded for Buddy Bill. Buddy Bill hasn't been fit for almost 3 years now. He hardly plays. When last has Buddy Bill been an All-Star, and when last has anyone seen Buddy Bill actually play basketball? So we don't know what he has to offer now. But let's wait and see.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Harry. To answer that question, I was watching a podcast on Gilbert Arenas podcast, and he was talking about how who mostly reminds him of Kobe Bryant these days, and how in his later years, how Kobe was very, ball hogging, wasn't trying to pass the ball. And he asked someone who reminds you of Kobe more in the game these days, and they pointed 2 people to a degree, and Devin Booker was one of the 2 guys he pointed out. So when you are in that kind of team, Devin Booker doesn't like ISO when they double team him, he doesn't like it. So he tries to kick it out. Because he always complain about it. Even during training camps, there was a video with him and Joakim Noah and Jago McGee when they were playing pickup, and he was saying, no, I'm not trying to get double teamed in just a normal game. And he said, this happens in a normal game. Play with it. He doesn't like it. So him with the ball, he will most likely always outscore KD in games. And both games that they played together this season, he outscored KD. KD has to come in and double defense and score. With him out, KD has also scored. So to your point, yes, I understand what you're talking about. And it was also something I addressed. When you have 3 players, somebody's game will have to suffer. Which one of those 3 guys do you think is going to suffer willingly? Who is going to be the butt of who is going to be the butt of all the jokes? Who is going to be the butt of all the criticisms? Yes. So it won't be KD, because everybody believes KD is purest shooter. He can walk up. The person that is going to face it is Bradley Beal. And I do not believe Bradley Beal has never been in that position. When you are a superstar, you've been in Washington, you've been the guy, you've been the main man, you've been scoring 30, you put up 30 points. You've been the guy. And now they are coming to a team where you probably get maybe 20, 21 points per game. It's going to be a big adjustment in a season where you don't really expect it. So I feel like, to answer your question, it's fine. But I feel like they will have more struggles. This season is not going to be their season. Definitely not. Next season, when they add more defensive pieces, more players that can length, size, and body, they will do very well. But this season, they will have some growing pains this season. So let's really switch from teams to players, right? We've seen great performances from guys. Let's start with a freak of nature, a player we've never seen something like him before, and that's Victor Wembanyama, right? Wembanyama, when he came in, we saw how the NBA following him up and down for the whole of last season. Now he's in the league. Highlights reel 7-4 and shoot, defend, dribble, do everything. Has Wemby lived up to what he thought was going to, or has he surpassed what we thought he was?
He has lived up to what we all thought that he was actually going to live up to. I think that's why I wouldn't say surpass is because he still makes those ridiculous mistakes from time to time. I remember the very first game in Dallas Mavericks, and then I think he went into foul trouble pretty early, and they had to literally and all that, and you could see he was very frustrated because he could not really impact the game, and then in the fourth quarter he tries to give the whole impact to the game and everything, but then there was a don't somewhere in that game and all. And so we've seen Wemby is literally living up to his hype. I think after one of those games, they said there's no need to argue this kid anymore. Like, he's already the rookie of the season. Like, what the guy, which I told you last but also even if he drops 10 points per game, I need to be the rookie of the season. It's like you said, this season. Oh yeah, I do agree, but Wemby is actually living up to the hype. That we've seen, apart from he needs to work on the stamina. I see him that's how he wants to do it. So that is something, that's why if you look at it, it seems like the ability is limit to an extent because they're still trying to build up the stuff. I mean, exactly where you are losing. it was when they removed Wemby that we actually saw Toronto start in there.
I mean, when you're that tall and that, I mean, you are intended to understand. Understand so.
But I think one misconception that people get with Wemby is people just attribute it to, oh, it's the height. Like, maybe you could say it's the height of defense, but you can't say that for offense. Like, we've seen tall guys that literally all they know how to do is go and dunk. Not to Yabe, the very good friend of Ben Simmons, for example. Ben Simmons has to do something.
He doesn't know how to.
He can't do anything.
Yeah.
He has to be within the goal for his passing the ball to someone else, right? But then again, we see Wemby, we see his handles, we see his assists, we see his finish. Like he's he makes 3 points. Like he has.
I think what was more deadly to
his jump shot. Like there was the game where he put the ball in between Reggie legs.
Yeah.
Goes into the bin and then fades away and makes the jump. And in my mind, I'm like, what is this guy, right? The only thing is, I do think like he's a bit, he still has those rookie tendencies, and it's normal, it's fine, right? Like yesterday at a point, I felt like there were times where he lost concentration, like when they were tied, and then the last pass the ball, and then he felt like there was a point where Wemby was actually free. And then he felt like he just lost concentration and ran away from the ball. And everybody was like, what was he doing exactly at that
mistake? Yeah.
He made
Rookie mistake.
Okay.
right? Well, he has linked it.
I mean, thank you for that. So we've seen, like I mentioned, we've seen some great performances. We've seen performances of Steph Curry, we've seen LeBron do crazy highlights, we've seen AD, we've seen, I mean, Zion has said he's ready for the season and he's shown that. But a new addition to the season, I'm coming to you with this, the NBA season tournament, right? What do you feel about the NBA season tournament? And how do you feel like it's going to impact the season overall? And who do you predict is going to win? Because will you come to you and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah, I love the idea of the NBA season tournament. I like the hype. It creates something more for fans to look forward to. The statement I made on the group about how responding to what's his name, Halliburton, his comments, and I think the way the current sort of format of the tournament is structured is good enough because it's not necessarily for the big teams, it's for the middle teams, it's from those in the middle of the table who are not sure if they can compete for the playoffs at the highest level, but they still want to see what they can do. And so it gives them an opportunity to try and fight for some form of, silver, goldware, I guess. Okay. And it's really interesting, especially to see how teams are going to respond to it. I was likening to the Europa League, Europa League specifically, because it's not quite UEFA. UEFA is bigger than anything. So the Europa League, you see the big teams when they're in the Europa League, they give more minutes to their youth academy players and everything. So I think what we're going to see with most of the main contenders who don't really have to really try, they know who they are, they don't need to experiment to be playing the tournaments, what they'll field out, maybe they're two-way contract players or younger rookies and give them a chance to see what they can do, while mid-table teams will actually try to fight for something. But specifically, who I think is going to win is going to be the Nuggets.
Nuggets, okay.
I think Jokic, as much as he's very like a discount and it looks as if they are wasting his time and he has something more important to do every other game, he is someone who's very serious about basketball. It's his job and he's going to do it. And I don't think anyone's really hyping how much Jokic is still the best player in the league. He's still the best player in the world. And what's incredible is that he's still improving. He did something against the Mavs in our playing tournaments and it just blew my mind. He caught away from the ball to the basket about 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. Jokic is usually the point forward or point center, I guess. Usually the one at the key or at the elbow and is one passing against, maybe AG cutting in or Murray or Brown or someone else or KCP. But he was one cutting off Murray, he was one cutting off AG, and I'm like, why is no one talking about the fact that he can cut and pass, he can cut and use his shuffle, whatever it's called. He's incredible and he just keeps improving. I think the Nuggets are going to win it all this season.
All right.